Edith Stein was born on October 12, 1891, in Breslau, Germany, into a devout Jewish family. She was the youngest of 11 children, and her mother, Auguste Stein, took on the role of both parent and spiritual guide after the early death of Edith's father. The Steins were faithful Jews, deeply rooted in their traditions and committed to their religious practices. Auguste's unshakable faith in God and her resilience as a widow profoundly shaped Edith's early years, instilling in her a sense of discipline, duty, and reverence for the divine. Despite this upbringing, Edith began to question the faith of her childhood. As a precocious and introspective child, she often observed the world with a critical eye, searching for consistency and truth in what she saw. By her teenage years, she had become skeptical of religion altogether. A sharp intellect and a growing interest in science and philosophy led her to view the faith she had been raised in as something incompatible with reason. She later admitted that, by the time she was a young adult, she had abandoned prayer and considered herself an atheist. Edith's academic journey reflected her restless search for understanding. She enrolled at the University of Breslau, where she pursued psychology and philosophy. Her keen intellect quickly earned her recognition, and she was drawn to the study of phenomenology, a philosophical movement that sought to explore the structures of human experience. In 1913, she transferred to the University of Göttingen to study under the renowned philosopher Edmund Husserl, whose work deeply influenced her thinking. Immersed in the rigorous intellectual environment of Göttingen, Edith thrived not only as a scholar but as a pioneer. At a time when few women pursued higher education, Edith's determination and brilliance made her stand out. Though her studies consumed much of her attention, Edith's heart remained restless. Even as she excelled academically, she grappled with the big questions that her work could not answer. What is truth? What gives life meaning? Her friendships with other students and scholars often led to intense discussions about faith and reason, morality and existence. Some of her peers, including Max Scheler, introduced her to Catholic thought and challenged her views on religion. Though she admired their convictions, Edith remained unconvinced that faith could offer the certainty she sought. To her, only reason and science seemed capable of leading to the truth. The outbreak of World War I interrupted Edith's academic career and thrust her into a new phase of life. She volunteered as a nurse and worked in a field hospital, where she witnessed firsthand the suffering and fragility of human existence. The experience profoundly affected her, forcing her to confront the limits of human understanding and the presence of mystery in life. She later reflected that the war exposed her to a dimension of reality that her philosophical studies could not fully grasp, a world where suffering and sacrifice revealed truths that logic alone could not comprehend. By the end of the war, Edith returned to her academic work with a renewed sense of purpose, but the seeds of a deeper transformation had already been planted. She continued to distinguish herself as a scholar, earning her doctorate in philosophy in 1916 with a groundbreaking dissertation on empathy. Yet, beneath her intellectual achievements, the questions that had driven her away from religion as a teenager began to resurface. Edith's search for truth, once grounded solely in reason, was slowly leading her towards something greater. Edith Stein's search for truth led her to unexpected encounters with faith. After the war, her academic work gained recognition, and she became one of the leading scholars in phenomenology, assisting her mentor Edmund Husserl with his research. Despite her achievements, she found herself drawn to deeper questions that philosophy alone could not answer. Her studies exposed her to thinkers like Max Scheler, whose exploration of Catholicism challenged her understanding of faith and reason. She began to see that faith was not a rejection of reason, but an elevation of it, capable of addressing the mysteries that reason could not fully grasp. Her journey toward Catholicism took a decisive turn during a visit to the home of her friend Hedwig Conrad Martius. While staying as a guest, Edith came across a book that would change her life forever, The Life of Saint Teresa of Avila. As she read the autobiography of the Carmelite mystic, she was struck by the profound sense of peace and truth emanating from Saint Teresa's words. Edith later described how, upon finishing the book, she declared, "This is the truth." It was not just an intellectual realization, but a personal and spiritual awakening. She saw in St. Teresa's life a profound witness to the power of God's grace and the fulfillment of the human heart's deepest longings. Edith's newfound understanding of truth led her to explore Catholic teachings more deeply. She began to attend Mass, read the Catechism, and study Scripture. What she encountered was not only a faith grounded in reason, but also a living tradition that offered a relationship with Christ. This realization resonated with her own experiences of seeking meaning in the midst of human suffering. For Edith, the Catholic Church represented the unity of truth and love, a harmony she had sought but never fully found in her previous studies. On January 1, 1922, Edith Stein was baptized into the Catholic Church. The ceremony took place in a small chapel, marking the beginning of a new life for her. She chose the name Teresa as her confirmation name, in honor of Saint Teresa of Avila, whose life and writings had inspired her conversion. Edith's baptism was a joyful moment, but it also brought sorrow. Her mother, a devout Jew, struggled to accept Edith's decision. To August Stein, Edith's conversion seemed like a rejection of the faith and traditions that had sustained their family for generations. Though deeply pained by her mother's reaction, Edith remained steadfast, believing that her Catholic faith fulfilled, rather than denied, her Jewish heritage. After her baptism, Edith devoted herself to living out her faith with the same discipline and rigor that had marked her academic pursuits. She became a teacher at a Dominican girls' school in Speyer, where she sought to form her students not only intellectually, but also spiritually. During this time, she also began to write about the relationship between faith and philosophy, emphasizing the ways in which they complement and enrich one another. Her work reflected her belief that the Catholic faith, far from being opposed to reason, illuminated the highest truths that reason alone could not reach. While Edith embraced her new identity as a Catholic, she never abandoned her connection to her Jewish roots. She often reflected on the role of the Jewish people in salvation history, seeing her own journey as part of a greater plan. Edith's growing devotion to Christ and his Church only deepened her awareness of the suffering and redemption at the heart of the human story. Though she had found the truth she had long sought, Edith knew that her journey of faith was only beginning. Her baptism was not an end point, but the first step on a path that would lead her closer to the mystery of the cross. As Edith Stein deepened her Catholic faith, her life took on a new dimension of purpose and sacrifice. While her work as a teacher and scholar continued, she began to feel a call to something more profound, a total surrender to God. Over the years, her studies and prayers led her to a growing love for the Carmelite spirituality she had first encountered through Saint Teresa of Avila. In the silent depths of prayer and contemplation, she found the peace and fulfillment her heart had long sought. In 1933, as the Nazi regime came to power in Germany, Edith's Jewish heritage became a source of increasing danger. Her position as a teacher at a Catholic school became untenable due to anti-Semitic laws. Recognizing the growing threat, Edith chose to follow her long-felt vocation to the religious life. She entered the Discalced Carmelite convent in Cologne, taking the name Teresa Benedicta of the Cross. The name reflected her devotion to both Saint Teresa of Avila and the mystery of the cross, which she saw as central to her vocation. For Edith, the cross symbolized the ultimate expression of love and the redemptive power of suffering. Life in the convent brought Edith great joy, but it was not without challenges. She embraced the Carmelite rule with humility, immersing herself in prayer, study, and community life. At the same time, she continued her theological writings, seeking to bridge her Jewish heritage and Catholic faith. Edith's reflections on the shared destiny of Jews and Christians revealed her profound understanding of God's plan for salvation. She saw her own life as a small part of this greater story, a story rooted in the mystery of Christ's passion and resurrection. As the Nazi persecution of Jews intensified, Edith became increasingly aware of the danger she and her community faced. In 1938, for her safety and that of the convent, she was transferred to a Carmelite monastery in Echt, in the Netherlands. There, she continued her life of prayer and contemplation, offering herself as a sacrifice for the salvation of souls and for the Jewish people. She wrote, "I want to offer my life for them, so that the Lord will be accepted by his own people, and his kingdom may come in glory." In 1940, the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands brought danger even to the quiet walls of the monastery. In 1942, the Catholic bishops of the Netherlands issued a public statement condemning Nazi anti-Semitism. In retaliation, the Gestapo targeted Jewish converts to Christianity. On August 2, 1942, Edith and her sister Rosa, who had also converted to Catholicism and was serving as a lay assistant at the monastery, were arrested and deported. Despite the horror of the situation, Edith remained calm and composed, comforting others and offering her suffering in union with Christ. Edith and Rosa were sent to Auschwitz, where they arrived on August 7, 1942. Witnesses later testified to Edith's unwavering faith and kindness during these final days. She was often seen comforting frightened children and praying with fellow prisoners. On August 9, 1942, Edith was martyred in the gas chambers, a victim of the Nazi regime's hatred, but a witness to the power of faith and love. Edith Stein's life and death left an indelible mark on the Church and the world. Her writings continue to inspire, offering profound insights into the relationship between faith and reason, suffering and redemption. In 1998, she was canonized by Pope John Paul II as Saint Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, a martyr and co-patroness of Europe. Her life stands as a testament to the transformative power of grace, the unity of faith and intellect, and the redemptive mystery of the cross. Edith Stein's journey, from her Jewish roots to her Catholic martyrdom, reveals the beauty of a soul fully surrendered to God. Edith Stein was born